Even though it's not the State of the Union on Tuesday, we should be calling it the State of Project 2025. There's a website that is tracking Project 2025, the thing that we told y'all was going to happen, and it's called project2025.observer. In 41 days, they have achieved, meaning Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and the Muskettes, aka DOGE, and the Republicans in Congress have achieved 36% of their objectives. But you know what they haven't achieved? Bringing down inflation. That was what Donald Trump promised to do on day one. And we still have yet to see one economic proposal that will lower costs for families. Costs are up, strengthen the economy. All of the independent analysis are saying that Donald Trump's policies around tariffs and around these tax cuts are going to hurt our economy. And in fact, we're starting to see for the first time, there's metrics that are indicating that we're going to see the GDP, which is the gross domestic product of this country, shrink by 1.5%. That is what the Atlanta Fed is predicting now. And so obviously, 36% of Project 2025's objectives is completely detrimental to those of us who are not millionaires and billionaires. I'm in the thousandaire club. Some of us are in the hundredaire club. And these Republicans have absolutely nothing for us that will help us. I know right now they are winning the narrative war because they have this really catchy waste, fraud, and abuse. And so that is what Republicans are hanging their hat on. But the reality is that this waste, fraud, and abuse discussion is really trying to change the conversation away from the fact that gutting the federal workforce and gutting these programs is gutting an investment in our country and our economy. Republicans like to say that Donald Trump is a deal maker. Well, he's an expert at negotiating bankruptcies. He has 6 under his belt. And that's what he's trying to do, along with Mike Johnson and his Republican cronies in the House and in the Senate, when they are putting forth, they've already passed a House bill that is going to add trillions of dollars to the deficit so that billionaires and millionaires can have more money to buy yachts, to take casual trips to the moon or outer space. Meanwhile, they are going to slash programs that we rely on. And I want to make it very clear, when we are caring for our neighbor, that is not charity. When we are investing money in our healthcare, which Republicans want to slash $800 billion from Medicare, Medicaid, and from SNAP, that is not just harming them, it's harming our entire community. The national health spending, 32% of it comes from the federal government. 16% comes from state and local governments. So that money that is being spent on Medicare and Medicaid is also supplementing the hospitals so that they can keep running, so that we can have a range of services, so that people don't have to go to their emergency room and not be able to pay their bills, which then increases the cost that we have to pay. And so it's not just charity or altruism. We mutually benefit from all of these things. Ambassador Rice mentioned earlier about what's happening with USAID. Aid to other countries is not, again, charity. It is also supporting American businesses. There are hundreds of millions of dollars that farmers are on the hook for, that manufacturers are on the hook for, that they're not receiving because the so-called deals that DOGE is making is just unilaterally canceling legally appropriated funds. And that's harming American businesses. And that has an exponential impact. And the last thing I'll say is that we're getting a bargain for our federal workforce. They make up 4.3% of our budget of $6.9 trillion. We don't get $6.9 trillion out of the door magically and into the right hands for the Republicans to be so-called worried about waste, fraud, and abuse without our federal workforce. And so when they're not providing us services, we're going to have to make up for those services with our take-home pay because we're not getting a DOGE dividend. The Republicans do not have a tax cut for us. So please, when you are talking about all of these things that Republicans are focused on, make sure that your neighbors are aware that they are going to be adversely impacted by these cuts. It's not just poor people. It's not just people overseas that are going to be impacted. It's going to be all of us.